Hello there. So I came back briefly and then I disappeared again. I did say in my last video there was some personal stuff going on, so at the moment I'm just not really thinking about YouTube, or I just can't put myself in the headspace to come up with interesting ideas. So I would rather at this time in my life not make videos if I know that they're going to be not great or that I'm not going to put my whole heart into them. So please bear with me in the sense that my schedule for my uploads might be a little bit wacky coming up. It's weird because I think as a YouTube creator it seems very much, because I stick to my schedule so rigidly, it seems very much like even if I miss a week of that schedule, that seems like a big chunk of time. For you guys, you probably haven't even noticed, but if anyone happens to have noticed that I had disappeared, that's why. But it has been brought to my attention that the Booktubeathon is coming up from July 30th, so next Monday, to August the 5th, which is the Sunday after that. And Booktubeathon is my favourite readathon. I love it. It seems somehow to always come about at a time when I really need a distraction. And given that everything's been so up in the air recently, my reading has also really suffered. So it's going to be really lovely to have that time, and faithfully I have got that week off of work as well. I've booked it off because I just need a week where I just do nothing. So that gives me the perfect excuse to not distract myself with work when I'm meant to not be working, because I can just read. And I'm kind of ambitiously saying that I might be able to manage the 7 books this year, but let's not hold on to that, because things might happen. I'll probably end up being busier than I think. It's always the way. Anyway, so I thought today I would bring you my Booktubeathon TBR, long story short, because it's a video that I don't really have to think about and it's something nice to focus on. So I'm going to go through the challenges. Number 1 is to let a coin toss decide your first book. So I don't have a book to show you for that, but when the Booktubeathon comes around, I will do a coin toss, or my example of a coin toss, because I cannot toss coins, and I will pick my book that way. But number 2 is read a book about something you've always wanted to do. Now, I really struggled with this one actually. I don't really own any books about anything that I want to do. I think it's the same old issue that I always have, of that all my books are so bleak and so grim that I probably wouldn't want anything to do with anything inside of them. However, what I have decided to do, because I wanted to reread this for a while and I think it will be a really inspirational read, is to pick up Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal by Jeanette Winterson for this challenge, because one thing I would like to do is write like Jeanette Winterson. So I think that this roundaboutly fits into that category. So this is Jeanette Winterson's memoir about her life growing up and also her journey into her love of reading and her love of writing, and it's just a really lovely little book. Anyone who has watched a YouTube video or seen Jeanette Winterson speak will know that she is a wonderful performer as well as a fantastic writer, and that really comes across in this book. I would highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't read it. Even if you don't particularly like Jeanette Winterson's style, I think this is completely different and it's so readable and fantastic and inspirational about just coming through hard times and overcoming when the odds are against you and achieving your dreams, and just I'd recommend. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. So this is going to be my book for that one. Number 3 is to read and watch a book to movie adaptation. Now, normally when I do the readathon, I find that I just don't have time to watch a film as well. But what I've picked up for this is Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. I know it's a play, but it's in book form, so I'm counting it. And I'm intending to read this and then watch the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet adaptation if I get a chance. I will definitely be reading this, but as I say, I can't promise that I will manage to watch the adaptation within the readathon boundaries, but I will watch it at some stage. What I thought this would be nice to pick up for is because I've had this on my shelf for a very, very long time. Now, I studied Romeo and Juliet at GCSE level, and I have to be honest, we did not read the whole play, which seems to be a thing a lot in English, and I think it's something that needs rectifying. But we read like the key scenes for our exam, and then we watched the Baz Luhrmann film, funnily enough, to sort of give us an overall idea of the story. I understand why schools do that, because I think it's one of those things where it saves time and it stops people from feeling overwhelmed. But I think, you know, you should read the whole text. But anyway, we didn't. So I would like to actually read Romeo and Juliet. I don't overly get on with Shakespeare plays to read them. I think they're definitely better being performed in front of you, but I would still like to read this. Me and my partner are actually going to Stratford-upon-Avon on the weekend of that week, so it'll be quite nice to read this, I think, when we're in the car on the way there. So yeah, there's that one. Then number 4 is to read a book with green on the cover. Now for this one, it's another reread, and I kind of feel a bit cheaty doing rereads, but at the same time I think that's what I need at the moment, because I've been struggling with my reading and nothing's hitting the spot. I need to just revisit some old favourites right now, so Ray Bradbury's Dandelion Wine is for that one. This is a fantastic book about kind of a semi-memoir about Ray Bradbury's time growing up in Illinois, but it's fictionalised, and it basically just looks at coming of age in a fantastically beautiful way, and I adored this book when I read it probably about 6 years ago, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to it. Then number 5 is read a book while wearing the same hat the whole time, so I have a specific book for that one, but I will be doing it at the time. Number 6 is read a book with a beautiful spine. Now to be honest, when I was looking through my books, the only books that I have that are have beautiful spines are the beautiful books that I own, so I decided to just go with this one. I mean, the spine isn't particularly fantastic, I suppose, but the book as a whole is beautiful, and I think the spine fits in with that, and that's The Complete Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm not going to be reading the whole thing, obviously, because it's quite large, but I thought I would start off with Hound of the Baskervilles. Now, shamefully, I have never read any Sherlock Holmes, which is why I bought this, aside from the fact that it's a stunning edition and I just wanted to own it. I wanted to get round to it, but I bought it probably about 3 years ago now, and I haven't touched it. So I think this would be quite a good one to get to, and I feel as well like it would just really grip me at the moment, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. And then the final 7th challenge is just to read 7 books. So we've had 4 of those already, and then I've got the final ones here, which is Invisible City by Italo Calvino. This I've chosen mainly because it's quite little, and I've also wanted to read it for a long time, but it's one of those books that I never particularly think of picking up, so I think this would be a good chance to do that. Then I've got Ernest Hemingway's Winner Take Nothing. This is a short story collection by Ernest Hemingway, which I always pick up when I do Dewey's 24-hour readathon, because on the surface of things it's a small book, but actually the writing is so minuscule. I don't know if you can see that, it's tiny, so actually it's much thicker than it looks, but I'm looking forward to getting to it for this one. I think I need to read more Hemingway. The only Hemingway I've ever read is A Movable Feast and also The Old Man and the Sea. I would like to get to more of him, and I think reading a collection of short stories from him will probably be a good way to get round to that. Finally, I've got Elie Wiesel's Twilight. I was sent this a long time ago now by Penguin when they released a new Penguin Essentials range, and it was one of the books that I really wanted to read off of that series, but I've just never gotten around to it. Again, it's one of those books that I've always wanted to read, but it just never crosses my mind to read it, and for some reason in my head I've built it up as a book that's going to be quite hard to get to and quite hard to understand, and again, but it's got tiny mini words inside there and quite a lot to a page. But I think this would be a good time to get to it because it is relatively short in the grand scheme of things. It's also a Diddy book, so it's shorter than it looks. As I say, I'm semi-hopeful that I will manage to read 7 books, although to be fair, I have got some day trips planned, and also, as I said, we're going to Stratford-upon-Avon for that weekend, so it might not happen, but I'm hopeful. Please, if you're taking part, let me know down below what you will be reading, or if you've done a TBR video of your own, link that down below and I'll be sure to check that out. And as I say, bear with me at the moment. I will be resuming normal scheduling as soon as I can. Bye!